Captain Arik stood on the observation deck of the Star Voyager, staring out into the endless stretch of space. Stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across a black velvet canvas. For years he had traveled among the stars, seen planets of every color and encountered countless alien species. Yet today something felt different. A strange anticipation filled him, a feeling he could not explain. His thoughts were interrupted by the soft hum of the ship's communication console. A small blinking light indicated an incoming message. Arik walked over, curious. When he activated the console, a holographic image flickered to life. It was Lyra. She looked the same as the last time he had seen her, delicate features framed by silver hair, large violet eyes filled with intelligence and warmth. But there was something else now. A small exoskeletal frame helped her move, supporting her disabled body. Even across the stars, Arik recognized her immediately. Arik, her voice was soft but carried an urgency he couldn't ignore. "Do you remember me?" Arik's chest tightened. How could he forget? She had been more than an ally during his first mission to her planet. She had been a friend, someone he had connected with in a way he rarely felt with anyone, human or alien. "Lyra," he said, his voice catching slightly. "Of course I remember you. Why are you reaching out now?" Her violet eyes glistened. "My people are in danger. I need your help, please. Come to Lyra Prime, only you can help us." Arik felt a familiar pull in his heart. The memory of their first encounter came rushing back. Years ago, Lyra's planet had been on the brink of collapse. Threatened by a powerful alien faction, Arik had helped her and her people escape, using his ingenuity and courage when the odds were stacked against them. He had learned then that humans had a unique strength, our creativity, our adaptability, and most importantly, our empathy. He hesitated. Interstellar travel to an unknown system was dangerous, and the message could have been a trap. Yet something about Lyra's eyes, filled with trust and hope, told him it was real. "I'll come," he said, finally making the decision he could not regret. "Prepare everything. I'll be there as soon as possible." The message ended, leaving Arik alone on the observation deck. He leaned against the railing, his mind racing. He had faced many challenges in his life, but nothing compared to the feelings Lyra stirred in him. Courage, duty, and a strange personal longing all collided in his chest. Arik called his crew into the briefing room. They were a small, skilled team, loyal and adaptable. He explained the situation, showing them the holographic message from Lyra. "We're going to Lyra Prime," he said. "It's a dangerous journey, but this is someone I trust. And someone needs our help." His crew nodded. Captain Juno, a tactical genius, spoke first. "Arik, we've faced alien threats before. If your intuition says this is important, we'll follow. But we need full preparations, shields, weapons, and navigation through uncharted space." Arik smiled faintly. "That's why I rely on you. Let's get ready." The Star Voyager left the familiar sector behind, gliding through the dark emptiness with a quiet hum. Arik spent the first part of the journey in the ship's library, going over the star charts and Lyra's planet data. Lyra Prime was in a distant system at the edge of the Orion Belt, a place few humans had ever visited. Her world had been a paradise once, she had said, full of breathtaking landscapes, towering crystalline forests, and cities that glimmered like jewels under the twin suns. But something had changed. Now her people were in danger, and only humans could provide the kind of ingenuity and courage needed to survive. During the long voyage, Arik often found himself in the captain's quarters, staring at a small hollow photo of Lyra. Memories of their last encounter played in his mind, her laughter as she guided him through the alien terrain, the careful way she had shown him how to navigate her home despite her disability. She had been fearless, creative, and wise beyond her years. He remembered the moment she had trusted him with her people's safety. That trust had stayed with him, a quiet reminder of the responsibility he carried not only as a captain, but as a human in the galaxy. Humans were not the strongest or the fastest, but they adapted. They cared. They improvised. And time and again, Arik had seen those traits make a difference in the most impossible situations. Hours turned into days as the Star Voyager traveled through hyperspace. Arik's crew worked tirelessly to monitor for threats, recalibrate engines, and ensure the safety of the vessel. Still, nothing could erase the growing anticipation in Arik's heart. Finally, they emerged from hyperspace into a bright, unfamiliar star system. The twin suns of Lyra Prime bathed the planets in golden and violet light. Auric activated the ship's scanners. The readings were troubling. Energy signatures suggested that the alien faction Lyra had warned about was nearby, perhaps waiting for them. "Captain," Juno said, her voice tense. "We're not alone. Sensors show multiple unidentified ships approaching Lyra Prime." Auric's jaw tightened. The threat was real and they were walking straight into it. Yet the pull to reach Lyra and her people was stronger than fear. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "But we're still going to Lyra Prime. Nothing will stop me from reaching her." As they descended toward the planet, Auric felt a mixture of dread and hope. The surface below shimmered with crystalline cities, connected by bridges that glowed softly under the twin suns. The beauty of it was breathtaking. Yet he knew that somewhere in these shining cities danger lurked. When they landed, a small team of Lyra's people came to greet them. Lyra was among them, her frame supported by her exoskeleton. She stepped forward slowly, but her smile lit up the landing zone. "Auric," she said softly, "thank you for coming." He extended his hand, which she took gently. The connection was instant, a silent understanding that transcended species and words. Despite the danger surrounding them, Auric felt a warmth in his heart. He was home, at least in a place that felt like it had always been meant for him. Lyra led them to a private chamber, where she explained the situation. The alien faction had returned, stronger and more aggressive than before. They sought to control Lyra's planet, exploiting its unique resources. Her people had been preparing defenses, but without Auric and his human ingenuity, their efforts might not be enough. "We don't have much time," she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "Will you help us, Auric?" He nodded firmly. "Yes, Lyra, we'll face this together. Your people are not alone." For the first time in years, Auric felt the familiar thrill of purpose, the kind that made him feel truly human. Humans were not just explorers or warriors. They were problem solvers, thinkers, and companions. And here, on this alien world, he could prove it once more. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the crystalline city in shades of violet and gold, Auric knew their journey had just begun. Danger waited, yes, but so did hope. And sometimes hope was enough to light the darkest corners of the universe. The engines of the Star Voyager hummed steadily as Captain Auric guided the ship through the endless stretch of hyperspace. Ahead lay Lyra Prime, a planet at the edge of the Orion Belt, filled with crystal cities and hidden dangers. The memory of Lyra's violet eyes stayed with him, a quiet reminder that this mission was more than just another assignment. It was personal. Auric's crew moved with precision, running final checks on the ship. Weapon systems were online, shields fully charged, and navigation recalibrated for unknown anomalies. Captain Juno monitored the radar, her sharp eyes scanning for anything unusual. "Captain," she said, her voice firm, "we're entering uncharted space. Sensors are picking up minor fluctuations. Could be nothing or could be a trap." Auric leaned over the console. "Keep scanning. We need to know if anyone is following us." The days in hyperspace were long and quiet, yet tension hung in the air like a thin fog. Auric often found himself wandering the corridors, reflecting on the first time he had met Lyra. She had been small and fragile-looking, her body limited by a disability, but her mind was sharp and fearless. She had taught him patience and creative problem-solving in ways he never expected. Humans think differently, he had told himself then, watching her analyze a complicated alien device. We improvise, we adapt, and sometimes that makes all the difference. Now that same thought guided him. Lyra's people had technology unfamiliar even to humans, and only by combining human ingenuity with her guidance could they hope to survive the threat looming over her planet. The Star Voyager passed through a dense asteroid field. The ship's hull groaned as it navigated between floating rocks, each maneuver precise and calculated. Auric's hands moved effortlessly over the controls, adjusting thrust and trajectory. Even in dangerous situations, he felt calm. Humans had always faced challenges, and instinct, courage, and intelligence were the tools they had used to overcome them. During one quiet moment, Auric entered the observation deck. The stars stretched infinitely before him, glittering with a beauty that made the universe feel alive. He whispered to himself, "Lyra, I'm coming." Suddenly, the radar blipped. Unidentified ships appeared on the sensors, moving fast and silent. Auric's heart tightened, but he did not panic. Juno, report, he commanded. They're not opening communications, she replied. Sensors suggest these ships are shadowing us. Could be scouts. Could be hostile, Arik nodded. Keep us steady. We can't let them catch us off guard. Pray for it. The sun of Lyra Prime rose slowly over the crystalline city, casting soft violet and gold light across the towers. Captain Arik stood beside Lyra as they walked through the streets. The city was alive even in the early hours. Hovering vehicles moved along invisible tracks and alien citizens went about their routines, their movements graceful and precise. Despite her disability, Lyra moved with confidence, her exoskeleton supporting her as she guided Arik through the streets. This way, she said, leading him to a large plaza filled with structures designed for accessibility. Every corner had ramps and lifts, every pathway wide enough for citizens with mobility aids. Lyra had made sure her community could navigate the city safely, and Arik admired her foresight and determination. As they walked, Arik observed the people around them. He noticed the same intelligence and creativity he had seen in Lyra. The aliens used simple yet clever technology to assist in daily life, floating platforms for carrying goods, light-guided communication panels, and personal energy shields to protect from environmental hazards. Yet despite their advancements, Arik could sense the tension among them. Fear lingered in the air. Your people are strong, Arik said quietly. They remind me of humans in some ways, resilient and resourceful. Lyra smiled faintly. They are resilient, yes, but they lack your adaptability. Your kind faces challenges differently. You see solutions we cannot. They arrived at a grand hall at the heart of the city. Lyra paused and turned to Arik. This is where we plan our defense. Come meet the council. Inside, a group of leaders waited. Some were elders with wise, knowing eyes. Others were younger strategists, their bodies enhanced with subtle technology to compensate for limitations. All eyes turned toward Arik as he entered. The room was filled with a mix of curiosity and hope. Captain Arik, Lyra introduced him. This is my council. They are responsible for the safety of our people. I trust them, but I also trust humans, especially you. An elder spoke first, his voice deep and calm. We remember your arrival years ago, human. You helped us when we had no hope. If you are here now, it means our situation is dire. Arik nodded respectfully. I'm here to help. I may not know everything about your technology, but humans have a way of adapting. We think differently, and sometimes that makes all the difference. Lyra gestured to a large holographic display. The image showed Lyra Prime from above, highlighting the city's defenses and surrounding landscape. Arik studied the patterns carefully. The alien faction you warned us about, Arik said, pointing at areas of energy activity. They are advanced, but predictable. Their ships follow certain attack patterns. Your defenses are strong, but there are gaps here and here. He indicated weak points along the city's perimeter. With small adjustments, we can strengthen them, and maybe even use their tactics against them. The council listened intently. Some faces were skeptical, others intrigued. Lyra's gaze remained steady on Arik. I trust your judgment, she said. We need solutions, not fear. Arik smiled faintly. Then we start by understanding their moves. Humans excel at improvisation. If we combine your knowledge of this planet with our perspective, we can protect your people. Over the next several hours, Arik toured the city, guided by Lyra. They visited schools where young aliens learned engineering and strategy, medical centers where advanced technology aided disabled citizens, and training grounds where defenders practiced combat drills. Everywhere he went, Arik observed, asked questions and offered suggestions. In the training grounds, he noticed a young alien struggling to maneuver a hover device. Without hesitation, Arik stepped forward. Here, try adjusting the thrust this way, he instructed. The young alien followed his advice, and the device responded perfectly. A smile spread across the child's face. Lyra watched quietly, impressed. You see possibilities they cannot, she whispered. It is why I called you. As the day progressed, Arik gathered more information. He discovered that the alien faction had returned with a mission to control the planet's energy resources, crystals that stored immense power. If they succeeded, the entire region of the galaxy could fall under their influence. Lyra explained the stakes further. Our defenses are good, but our technology is limited by our understanding of their methods. We can defend ourselves for a time, but not long enough to drive them away. Arik nodded. Then we need to think differently. Humans have a habit of finding unconventional solutions. I will help your engineers modify your energy shields, use mobility to our advantage, and plan traps the enemy won't expect. The council murmured among themselves, some skeptical, some hopeful. Arik met Lyra's gaze and saw the trust in her eyes. He knew that with her guidance, human ingenuity could make a difference. As evening approached, Lyra led Arik to a quieter part of the city, a terrace overlooking the crystalline forests beyond. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows and lighting the city in shades of purple and gold. This was my favorite place as a child, Lyra said softly. Even with the city around me, I always came here to think, to dream. She paused, then looked at Arik. I'm glad you are here. Not just for the defense, but for me. You understand things about my world that others cannot. Arik felt a warmth in his chest. Lyra, your world is incredible, but the strength of your people is what stands out. Humans can help, but it is your courage and determination that make this planet special. She smiled faintly, a hint of relief in her eyes. Thank you, Arik. That means more than you know. Their moment was interrupted by an alert from the city's defense system. Energy spikes were detected near the northern perimeter, possible reconnaissance ships from the alien faction. Arik's expression hardened. It begins sooner than I expected, he said. We need to act quickly. I'll help set up the perimeter defenses and train your forces for rapid response. Lyra, your insight will guide us. Together we can turn this threat into something manageable. Lyra nodded. I will help in any way I can. My disability. It allows me to see solutions others might miss. Trust me, Arik, we can do this. Arik felt the familiar sense of purpose settle over him. Humans were not just explorers, they were problem solvers, thinkers, and friends. On this alien world, with Lyra's guidance, he could make a difference once more. The council agreed to implement Arik's plans. Engineers began modifying the energy shields. Defenders trained under his supervision, and Lyra helped coordinate strategies that only her unique perspective could reveal. The synergy between human creativity and alien knowledge was remarkable. As night fell over the crystalline city, Arik stood on the terrace with Lyra. The city glimmered below, alive with energy and hope. He knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but he also knew this. Humans could face the impossible, adapt and find solutions. Tomorrow, he said quietly, we start the real work. Your people will be ready. Lyra placed her hand gently on his arm. I trust you, Arik. Together we will protect Lyra Prime. And as the twin moons rose over the horizon, the bond between human and alien, captain and strategist, hero and friend, grew stronger. The journey was only beginning, but with hope, courage, and ingenuity, anything seemed possible. The morning sun bathed Lyra Prime in soft golden light, reflecting off the crystal towers of the city. Captain Arik stood in the central plaza, observing the city's defenders as they trained. Alien soldiers moved gracefully, their energy weapons humming softly as they practiced maneuvers. Yet Arik could see gaps, patterns that the alien faction might exploit. Your people are skilled, he said, speaking to Lyra beside him. But there are always small mistakes, small openings. That is where humans make a difference. Lyra tilted her head, curious. How so? Arik smiled faintly. Humans don't just follow patterns. We improvise, we adapt, and we create strategies that others would never imagine. Let me show you. He led a group of engineers and defenders to one of the outer perimeter towers. Using a holographic interface, he demonstrated how minor adjustments to the energy shields could create overlapping zones, covering weak points in ways the aliens had not considered. This shield configuration, he explained, will force their ships to expose themselves if they try an attack. We can predict their movements better and respond faster. The engineers nodded, eager to learn. Lyra watched intently, amazed at the way Arik combined human creativity with the alien technology. Despite his limited knowledge of their systems, his perspective revealed possibilities no one had seen before. Over the next few hours, Arik worked tirelessly with the defenders. He modified weapons, adjusted shield frequencies, and suggested tactics for rapid response. The alien soldiers learned quickly, inspired by his confidence and clarity. In the training yard, Arik also demonstrated human combat techniques adapted for alien physiology. He taught defenders to use terrain creatively, to exploit angles and movement, and to think ahead rather than simply reacting. One of the younger defenders, hesitant at first, tried to mimic his movements but stumbled. Arik approached calmly. Relax, don't copy me exactly. Understand why I move this way. Then you can adapt it to yourself. The alien practiced, and soon their movements became fluid, intelligent, and unexpected. Lyra watched, impressed. You see what I could not, she said softly. Your mind, it opens new possibilities. Arik paused, watching the city from the edge of the training yard. That's the human advantage, he said. The twin suns of Lyra Prime rose slowly, casting long shadows over the crystalline city. Captain Arik stood atop one of the tallest towers overlooking the city's defenses. Yesterday's victory had been a relief, but he knew it was only temporary. The alien faction would return, and this time they would come stronger and smarter. Lyra joined him, her exoskeleton softly whirring as she moved. They are persistent, she said quietly. They learn quickly. We cannot underestimate them again. Arik nodded. That's why we must think ahead. Humans adapt. We improvise. We use our minds where others use only force, and together, we can turn their strength into their weakness. They moved down to the council chamber, where engineers and defenders were already gathered. Energy shields hummed softly around the city and defensive drones hovered ready for action. Arik began outlining a new strategy, one that combined Lyra's intimate knowledge of the terrain with human ingenuity. We will reinforce the northern perimeter, he said, pointing to the holographic display. But we won't just hold them off. We'll guide them into zones we control. Traps, mobile defenses, and hidden energy pulses will give us the advantage. Their technology may be advanced, but it is predictable. The council listened, some skeptical, some eager. Lyra stood beside Arik, adding insights only she could provide. These paths are difficult for them to navigate, she explained, highlighting narrow canyons and crystal spires. But accessible for our defenders. Their advantage will become their weakness if we use the terrain wisely. Arik smiled. Exactly. And humans have a way of finding possibilities no one else sees. Together we'll make them regret underestimating us. As the defenders prepared, Arik noticed one of the younger aliens hesitating near a training platform. He walked over. Remember, adaptability is key, he said gently. Don't be afraid to try something new. Humans often succeed because we are willing to fail first, learn, and improve. The young defender nodded, taking a deep breath and adjusting the equipment. The results were immediate. The trap activated perfectly, demonstrating the power of creative thinking. Lyra watched with admiration. You truly inspire them, Arik, she said softly. Hours later, the sensors detected the alien faction approaching. This time, the enemy ships were larger, more numerous, and equipped with advanced weapons. The city's defenders braced for impact, and Arik moved to coordinate the response. Deploy the mobile shields, he ordered. Activate the energy traps in sequence. Lyra, guide the placement of the pulse generators. We will force them into zones we control. The first wave of ships approached cautiously, unaware of the hidden defenses. As predicted, energy nets immobilized several drones while mobile shields redirected attacks, minimizing damage. Defenders moved swiftly, guided by Arik's strategies and Lyra's insight. Despite their careful planning, one of the enemy ships broke through the northern barrier, heading toward a densely populated area. Lyra's eyes widened in alarm. Arik, that ship! Arik acted without hesitation. I'll stop it. Move civilians to safe zones. He activated a small experimental device, a human-designed kinetic disruptor adapted for alien technology. The disruptor emitted a precise pulse, disabling the ship's engines and forcing it to crash safely away from the city. Lyra watched, impressed and relieved. You saved them, she said softly. Your ingenuity. It is remarkable, Arik shrugged modestly. Humans have a habit of finding solutions under pressure, and sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good. The alien faction regrouped, attacking again with greater intensity. Energy beams sliced across the sky, but the city's defenses held firm. Defenders moved with confidence, improvising and adapting to each new tactic. Arik's human strategies had given them the edge. In the heat of the battle, Lyra noticed a weak point in the city's main energy shield. She realized she needed to act quickly, but it would be dangerous. "Arik," she said, determination in her voice. "I can fix the shield from the control node. It's risky, but it's the only way to hold them off." Arik hesitated. "Lyra, it's too dangerous." I can do it," she interrupted firmly. "I've navigated worse, trust me." Arik saw the resolve in her eyes and knew he could not stop her. "Then go," he said. "I'll cover you from here." Lyra moved swiftly, using her exoskeleton to navigate the hazardous area. She reached the control node, her hands flying over the interface as she stabilized the shield. Energy pulses surged through the city, reinforcing weak points just in time. The alien faction's ships fired relentlessly, but the reinforced shields held. Arik directed the defenders to counterattack, using traps and mobile defenses to disable enemy drones one by one. The combination of human ingenuity and Lyra's unique insight proved unstoppable. Finally, the alien faction retreated, their forces decimated and morale shattered. The city's defenders cheered, exhausted but victorious. Lyra returned to Arik's side, breathing heavily but smiling. "You were amazing," Arik said, his voice filled with admiration. "Your courage. It saved lives today." Lyra shook her head. "No, we did it together. Your strategies, your creativity, they made the difference. Humans truly are remarkable." Arik felt a quiet pride. Humans were not just strong. They inspired courage, hope, and determination in others. And in combination with Lyra's unique perspective, they had turned a desperate situation into a victory. As night fell over Lyra Prime, the city glimmered under twin moons. Fires from the battle had been extinguished, and the citizens moved cautiously but with renewed confidence. Arik and Lyra stood on the terrace looking over the city they had fought to protect. "We've shown them that they cannot control this world," Arik said quietly. "And we've proven something else too, that humans with courage and creativity can face any challenge." Lyra smiled faintly. "I hope this victory inspires others. Not just my people, but others across the stars. Maybe one day humans and aliens can work together more often." "Your ingenuity. It is a gift," Arik nodded. "It is. But it's not just humans. It's trust, cooperation, and hope. We fight, we adapt, and we never give up. That is what makes a difference." The night grew calm, but Arik knew the war was far from over. The alien faction had retreated for now, but they would return stronger and more determined. Still, with Lyra by his side and the combined strength of humans and her people, he felt confident they could face whatever came next. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes glowing in the moonlight. "Arik, thank you for believing in us, for showing us what is possible." Arik placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "No, Lyra, thank you for showing me what courage looks like even in the face of fear. Together we are stronger than anything they can throw at us." And as the city slept beneath the sparkling crystal towers, Captain Arik felt a quiet sense of purpose. Humans had always faced impossible odds, and time and again, their courage and ingenuity had carried them through. Tonight was no different. Lyra Prime was safe for now. But the bond between human and alien captain and strategist, hero and friend, had grown stronger than ever. The challenges ahead would test them, but together they could overcome anything. The twin suns of Lyra Prime began to rise, casting golden and violet light over the city. Captain Arik stood on the terrace of the central tower, surveying the city below. Though the previous battles had been won, he knew the alien faction would return. This time there could be no mistakes. Lyra joined him, her exoskeleton softly whirring as she moved. "They are stronger now," she said quietly, her violet eyes filled with concern. "I fear what they might do if we are not ready." Arik placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We are ready, Lyra, not just because of technology or strength, but because of what humans bring. The ability to adapt, to improvise, to think differently. That is our advantage." The council gathered in the strategy room, the holographic display showing the approaching alien fleet. The ships were larger, faster, and more heavily armed than before. Arik studied their formations carefully. "They've learned from the last encounters," he said. "We need to be unpredictable. Humans fight smarter, not just harder." Lyra pointed to several weak points in the fleet's formation. "If we can lure them here," she suggested, "we can use the terrain. The canyons and crystal spires will slow them, and our defenders can target them from above." Arik nodded. "Exactly. And we'll combine that with human ingenuity." Our traps, mobile shields, and energy pulses will give us the edge. They may have numbers, but we have strategy. As the defenders prepared, Arik moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement. Remember, he said, addressing the troops, fear is temporary, but intelligence and courage last. Trust your training, trust your instincts, and trust each other. Humans face impossible odds all the time. We adapt, we survive, and we win, Lyra observed quietly. Proud of the human captain who had inspired her people, even with her disability, she felt empowered, able to guide her defenders to positions no one else could reach. Together they had built a city ready to face any threat. The first wave of enemy ships entered the city's outer defenses. Energy nets immobilized smaller drones while mobile shields redirected attacks. Human-devised traps disabled several ships at once. Lyra's insight guided defenders through the most hazardous zones, allowing them to anticipate enemy maneuvers. Despite their preparation, one massive ship broke through the defenses, heading tow.